And here it is, guys, the Xiaomi phone you've been asking about a lot, the Xiaomi 17T. It's supposed to compete in the upper mid-range segment. It comes with a very powerful processor, a really solid display, an amazing rear camera, and the battery is even bigger now. This phone offers a really nice overall package, and it fixed most of the issues from the previous version. There are still a few downsides though, and I'll tell you about them in today's video, because I'm going to share my experience with the Xiaomi 17T. I'll tell you when it's worth buying and when you should skip it. I'll also give you my opinion on the price compared to the crazy prices we've been seeing these days. Like always, don't forget to leave a nice like, and let's jump right into the review. The design of the 17T has changed quite a bit compared to the 15T. From a distance, it keeps almost the same identity, and that's actually something I liked about the phone. I like phones that have a design that doesn't look like an iPhone, and this one doesn't look like an iPhone, so that's a plus. As for the materials, the back is made of fiberglass, which is a mix between glass and plastic. It feels good in the hand. The only thing is that the frame is still made of plastic. That old issue still hasn't been fixed.
A lot of people were surprised that a phone at this price still comes with a plastic frame. Someone's gonna say, come on, I'll just put a case on it and that's it. And I'll tell you, sure, that's fair. At the end of the day, it's all personal opinion. The color I have here is white, and honestly, I really like it because it's bright, but at the same time, it's not glossy, so it doesn't attract dust or fingerprints. At the same time, you get a slight wavy effect in some lighter shades when the light hits it. The weight is reasonable at 200 grams, so it doesn't feel too heavy, and it's 8.2 millimeters thick. I also like that the rear camera bump isn't big at all, and anyway, you get a case in the box, so it covers that camera bump. It also has really good water resistance with an IP68 rating.
The display is a little smaller this time, 6.59 inches, AMOLED, 1.5K, 120 Hz. It supports HDR10+ and Dolby Vision. The display here is completely flat with very slim bezels, but a lot of people commented and said, why did the screen size get smaller? And as a display, I really can't criticize it because it's honestly excellent. 68 billion colors, 12-bit color. The colors look natural and realistic. At the same time, the PWM flickering rate is really good at 3840 Hz, very good brightness at 3500 nits, good protection with Gorilla Glass 7i, so I really don't see any flaw with this display, except that the size might feel a little small for some people.
Let's move on to the performance experience, which is probably the most important thing about this phone. The processor here is powerful. The Dimensity 8500 Ultra, paired with very fast UFS 2.1 storage, running Xiaomi HyperOS 3 based on Android 16, with a promise of 5 years of Android updates. The phone's performance here is really good. It's fast, and I didn't run into any issues. You're probably going to say, but it's Xiaomi software. And I'll tell you, Xiaomi's T series is completely different. Forget about the Redmi series altogether. And if any of you have used the 11T, the 13T, or the 15T that just came out a few months ago, tell us in the comments how your performance experience has been with Xiaomi T phones. And I can tell you that the experience here is still solid, excellent, and completely trouble-free. You also get 3 different animation speed settings, so you can enjoy those smooth animations while opening and closing apps. This processor is definitely more powerful than the Snapdragon 7 Gen 4, which is the processor we usually see in the upper mid-range segment, the one that's found in the Honor 600, Reno 15, Vivo V70, and Realme 16 Pro Plus. Now let's get to an important point, which is the heating performance. This phone does get warm during camera use or heavy workloads, and the heat is specifically concentrated right below the camera module, but it's not the kind of heat that should worry you. With really heavy stress, the processor does throttle, but even after it lowers its clock speeds, it's still more powerful than the Snapdragon 7 Gen 4, and the temperature doesn't go above 45 degrees, which is definitely a point in its favor. The phone also runs PUBG at 120 frames per second, and the experience is really good. So in the end, if you're planning to buy this phone and all you do is switch between apps and play light games, then I don't think you should get it. Just stick with the Snapdragon 7 Gen 4 phone. It'll give you an excellent everyday experience, and you'll pay less. And by the way, among the upper mid-range phones that came out recently, there are only 2 phones that give you a truly powerful processor. This phone and the Infinix GT50 Pro. The Infinix has a better cooling system, and it also has gaming triggers on the frame, while the Xiaomi has the better cameras, better water resistance, and a better display. It's more powerful than the Infinix, but the Infinix is really built for people who mainly play games. Now, if we're comparing it to the Oppo Reno 15 Pro, I'll give you my opinion quickly since I've already tried the Reno 15 Pro. The Reno is a compact phone, even smaller than this one. It has a metal frame, yes, and the software might be better, and the camera experience might also be better. But the Reno gets hotter than even the 17T. Any gamer who buys it is going to be disappointed by the heat. The battery is is now bigger at 6500 mAh. It'll give you an excellent experience, easily lasting until the end of the day with heavier than average use, and it'll make it into a second day without charging if your usage is moderate or lighter. It still comes with the same 67 watts charger. Is it the fastest charger in the segment? No, but the phone charges fully in 1 hour, so that's totally fine. It's not a deal breaker. It also supports 22.5 watts reverse charging. The fingerprint scanner here is an optical one under the display, and its performance is good. The phone has an extra microphone for noise cancellation. It also has NFC, and it has a real IR sensor for controlling devices remotely. The haptic feedback is really good, guys, just like we're used to with Xiaomi's T-series phones. And that annoying issue has finally been fixed. The proximity sensor that turns the screen off when it's against your ear during calls is a real hardware sensor here, and it works without any issues. The network performance is also good, whether it's cellular reception or Wi-Fi. Now let's wrap things up with the cameras, which as usual were developed in collaboration with Leica. A 50 megapixels main camera with an f1.7 aperture, optical image stabilization, and the Light Fusion 800 sensor. A second 50 megapixels telephoto camera with an f3.0 aperture and optical image stabilization. Using Samsung's JN5 sensor, it gives you true 5 times optical zoom and goes up to 120 times digital zoom. And a 12 megapixels ultra-wide camera with an f2.2 aperture. The selfie camera is 32 megapixels with an f2.2 aperture. The phone shoots portrait photos at 1x and 2x using the main camera and at 5x using the telephoto camera. And of course, you get the two Leica shooting styles, Leica Portrait and Master Portrait. I personally liked Master Portrait more. You get a lot of really nice filters, and you can also control the aperture and the amount of background blur. The selfie camera records video in 4K at 30 frames per second. The rear camera records in 4K at up to 60 frames per second with HDR10+, of course, or Dolby Vision. And what's really special about this phone is that it can record 4K 60 frames per second log video with the rear camera. Yes, log. That's a really impressive feature to have on an upper mid-range phone. You can even preview your footage while shooting using built-in LUTs, but those aren't baked into the final video. The recorded video stays in log without any color grading. Then, using the phone's editor, you can apply one of the built-in LUTs or import your own LUT. So in the end, you get a much better looking video. Want to see the camera samples? Alright, let's check out the camera experience on the Xiaomi 17T. The rear camera on the 17T is really good. You could say it's one of this phone's strongest features, but you need to know that Xiaomi's color science and image processing with Leica is different from the other Chinese phones, especially the BBK group phones, and I'll explain that difference in just a bit. Here you get two shooting modes, Master Portrait and Leica Portrait. Master boosts the colors, and that's the one I personally preferred. But if you like more authentic looking photos, you'll probably prefer Leica Portrait. Of course, there are filters you can use while shooting portraits, and you can also adjust the background blur however you like. The 5x zoom lens is powerful, but I would have preferred it to be 3x or 3.5x optical zoom, so it would be more practical for portrait shots. Right now I have 2x, and then it jumps straight to 5x. There's nothing in between. It's not a big issue, but keep an eye on the image processing at 115mm, which is the 5x zoom portrait mode. The phone enhances facial details a little. It slightly adjusts the skin tones and reduces the image sharpness, even though I have all the beauty retouching turned off, of course. I just wanted to point that out. It tries to brighten and clean up the person's face. I can't say Xiaomi is the best at portrait photography in the upper mid-range segment, but I can say this phone is a very strong competitor if you like the way it processes photos of people. Now, what about regular photography? Buildings, landscapes, cars. Xiaomi's really good here. The colors are accurate and the details look natural. The phone really doesn't put a foot wrong here, so don't worry. The zoom capabilities are excellent because the sensor is placed at a 115mm focal length, which is 5x. That gives it a bit of an advantage in zoom performance over competing phones. The zoom here is really impressive. Yes, AI does step in sometimes to fill in details when the sensor can't capture everything, but it doesn't look bad. In fact, it looks very natural most of the time. The selfie camera, though, isn't the strongest part. Honestly, I don't know what it is, but Xiaomi selfie cameras just don't suit me at all, and I don't like the strange changes it makes to skin tones. On top of that, it doesn't have autofocus, so sometimes the photo won't come out as sharp as you'd like, and you'll have to retake it. It gets the job done, but it's not the best selfie camera in its class. Now, let me compare the 17T with the Vivo V70, so you can understand what I mean by the difference in image processing. Just look at the portrait shots. The Vivo is on one level, and the Xiaomi is on a completely different one. Personally, I think BBK group phones, especially Vivo, are ahead in portrait photography in the upper mid-range segment, especially when it comes to our skin tones. Maybe if you photographed a Chinese person, you'd find that Xiaomi makes their face look better.
Processing faces is one of the hardest things for smartphone cameras, but if I had to pick the best phone for photographing people in the upper mid-range segment so far, I'd choose the Vivo V70. Make sure you watch the last minute of this video if you're trying to decide between these two phones. Now I'll leave you with the video recording samples.
Video recording
recording goes up to 4K at 60 frames per second on the Xiaomi 17T. Right now, I'm testing 4K at 30 frames per second with you guys. We're currently using the main camera, and now we'll switch over to the ultra-wide camera. The daytime quality is pretty decent, but of course at night, the quality drops quite a bit. Now let's move over to the 5x zoom camera, which I think delivers very acceptable quality, considering the time of day I'm shooting. Of course, at night, since the aperture is narrow, it's not going to perform at its best. Now let's switch back to the main camera and check out the video recording in the regular mode. I'm not shooting in log or anything like that. I'm just recording normally using the camera app. And this is a test of the selfie video recording in 4K at 30 frames per second, which I personally don't like because I don't think Xiaomi phones make my face look good in selfie videos. That's just my opinion. I can't force you to agree with me. One thing I did notice is the audio pickup in the videos. The sound feels a little off somehow. That's because I have AI noise cancellation turned on, since without it, the videos end up being way too noisy. I'm not really sure why, but with smart noise cancellation enabled, the audio is fairly acceptable. Of course, there are other phones that do a better job capturing audio, and maybe a future update will improve this.
The official prices are $540 for the 12GB RAM plus 256GB storage version, and $600 for the 12GB RAM plus 512GB storage version. You can use 2 SIM cards at the same time, but you can't use a memory card, and the phone also supports eSIM. My final opinion is that this phone delivers a really solid performance experience with acceptable heat levels. It has a great display, if you like its size, a battery you can finally rely on, excellent haptics, and a real proximity sensor, and a really good rear camera, especially the 5x zoom lens, as well as video recording, especially log recording. Its downsides are the plastic frame and the selfie camera, which isn't the best in my opinion. Also, the main rear camera only works from 1x up to 4.9x, so if you try to shoot at 3x or 4x, the quality won't be the best at all because it's just a crop from the main camera. The 5x zoom is definitely a strength, but everything before it is actually a weakness.
Now, someone's going to ask me to compare the Vivo V70 and the Xiaomi 17T. The Vivo has a metal frame, and its battery performance in real-world use might be a little better. Personally, I think the Zeiss look on the Vivo is a little nicer than the Leica look on the Xiaomi. The rear camera is a matter of personal preference, but the selfie camera is clearly better on the Vivo. But the Xiaomi is much stronger for heavy use. It runs PUBG at 120 frames per second, while the Vivo only runs PUBG at 60 frames per second. So in the end, if you're a gamer and at the same time you want a good rear camera, get the 17T. But if you don't play games at all, save yourself the trouble and get the Vivo V70. That's it. Don't forget to leave a like if you haven't already, and make sure you're subscribed with the notification bell turned on so you never miss the latest videos and reviews. See you next time.